Today, the same Ford, right from the blue oval logo of Ford, gets manufactured out of China. Today, most of the giants now feel that now with the advent of AI and sudden boom coinciding with the equal boom on the hardware, chips like Nvidia, AI chips getting manufactured, Microsoft, Amazon, Grok, Elon Musk, and all these guys are spending billions and billions of dollars. Even a country like Saudi Arabia, which is all along been mineral rich and mineral dependent for their growth, are now moving towards AI because they are telling that the cost of human hiring is getting costly for us.
So that's a great beginning, Satish ji. And your being into mechanical engineering, IIT, and the entire space of mechanical engineering leading to vibrations, quantum physics, and then now the AI. I think the field is very open and very exciting and very inviting. And you're doing a great human job. Do tell us about more on this, please.
Exactly, Jindal. Thanks a lot, and I'm really honored to be part of this discussion that I'm having with you. Basically, this is exactly what the world is moving towards. We are now very fastly and silently moving towards post-labor economy. Post-labor economy is something like today, most of the industries where, since I come from automobile background, I remember way back in 1930s when Ford used to give advertisements by telling that every nut and bolt of a Ford Model T gets manufactured in their factory.
Wonderful.
Today, the same Ford, right from the blue oval logo of Ford, gets manufactured out of China.
That's right.
So the world has moved towards, like if you ask Ford, any Ford guy who is currently on the job, he tells, we are not in the business of manufacturing cars, we are in the business of selling cars and the brand of cars that made up us. So having said that, there is a huge pressure on the profitability. Today, most of the giants or the enterprise giants now feel that now with the advent of AI and the sudden boom coinciding with the equal boom on the hardware, chips like Nvidia, AI chips getting manufactured, Microsoft, Amazon, Grok, Elon Musk, and all these guys are spending billions and billions of dollars. Even a country like Saudi Arabia, which is all along being mineral rich and mineral dependent for their growth, are now moving towards AI because they are telling that the cost of human hiring is getting costly for us.
Right.
So today, most of the industrial applications are increasingly getting robotized, not even machinized. We lived in an era in 50s, 60s, 70s, 90s, and mid 2000s. We were living in an era where automation was taking over the human jobs. Now, right from the food delivery to, in fact, yesterday I was reading an interesting article in NDTV. The classrooms of the world is now going to become redundant. I am actually looking back. I always have the tendency for moving forward. I always look back. So if you look, our Gurukul system in India is the now future model. So the schools are no longer going to be 8 hours, 8 periods, 6 periods, kind of math, physics, chemistry, languages, humanities, those kind of, this is done. This is I'm a proud father of 2 young children. One has just now graduated from the 12th grade and she is going into engineering college. And my son, who is the younger one, who is now going from the 7th grade to the 8th grade. So the kind of, he himself, my son in particular, he doesn't talk too much to his parents or his peers about his academics. He switches on his Mac, asks his Siri or the application like Alexa. He gives dictation. Show me the last homework that I have done for this subject. It goes up onto the system. He opens up. He solves it. He goes to ChatGPT to learn for himself. Well, the future is already here.
Before we proceed ahead, just once again, Give me your field of expertise and how that can help the young generation today.
Okay, so I do not know whether I'm an expert yet, General, with all the humility I'm trying to. I have been a continuous learner, and my learning so far in my career I started my career mostly in the computational mechanics space in the early 90s, where data visualization was a huge challenge. We never had a visual graphics card, which today you get it with an NVIDIA chip. In those days, 256 MB or 256 KB, 1 MB, this kind of cards. In the area of numerical approximation technique or simulation sciences, nobody would believe any analyst's work other than the analyst. Everybody will believe the lab technician work other than the lab technician, because we know when we model or mathematically model any problem, create a business case. In those days I used to work on vehicle simulation science, particularly the passenger car and the passenger trucks and the buses, those kind of automobile designs. The biggest challenge was passenger safety. And even today, most of the accidents, if you could unfortunately read in the newspapers, happen because the driver dozes off in the driver's seat, and he presses the accelerator, which screams at 100 miles per hour. Boom, that crash happens, and then fatalities, unfortunately, innocent lives lost. That is happening because of the vibration caused on the human body. This is my area. This was my area of my expertise, because on either side of the human ears we get that vibration sound. Any vibration, as we all know, when the kids are born, we always put the kids on a swing and then keep on swinging it to make it sleep. That is because of the audible sound and the vibration the kid gets, so it sleeps. And we are still grown-up kids forever. When we sleep, we need certain kind of vibration happening. That unfortunately happens during the passenger car or on a passenger truck. The driver happens to get that kind of a feel, he dozes off. Because the face is built of about 300 muscles, and that muscles get fatigue. Human fatigue is one of the highly researched subject, and today, that is why, again, fast forward to the current generation, people are moving towards autonomous vehicles.
Yeah.
And vehicles and machines never get tired. So that was my area of expertise. And unfortunately, I used to do a lot of forensic simulations where the passenger would have been crushed to death or very badly smashed to death. And most of the time, we were on the passenger design team, which has to defend our design that has nothing to do with my design. It is the passenger's drunken state or drug abused state or whatever. But hearts of hearts, we know that is also contributing in a big way, but the safety systems weren't involved to that level that is happening today. So, having said that,
second part of the question, your expertise and its utility and usability.
Today, as you see, most of the vehicles are fit with cameras. Like today, Tesla has come and changed the way passenger cars are being driven and used. And if Tesla is actually moved the cheese, rest of the passenger cars are also moving. Everyone is going towards. Amazon is coming with a vehicle called Zoom, XOOM, and it is all completely intelligently driven by the software that is residing in the cars. Not anymore. We don't need drivers. Anybody who sits in only as a passenger, he drives it. So that means so much of amount of data need to be trained. The data, after having trained, has to be intelligently looking for an algorithmic base, which is what our human brain is trained and conditioned. But when it is done at a same machine level of accuracy, accidents are getting minimized, and that is the travel that we are going towards. Now, today, if passenger cars, which is actually as complex, particularly in a country like India, where the roads at best are worst, and the kind of jaywalking, crossing the roads, suddenly yanking the brakes, and all these things are it's a huge challenge, and it's a huge. Now itself, the cost of human lives is becoming so precious now in the Indian context. It has always been so in the Western countries. There is a huge amount of research and huge amount of technology investment that is going there. And currently, I am part of that enterprise which gives large language models based, what I call it as prompt engineering. And in simpler terms, as I keep telling, it's artificial intelligence. So, by the way, I some big. I'm a great fan of music. So there is a gentleman by name Padma Vibhushan Ilayaraja, who's a music master. When somebody asked him at some point of time, do you think that music, the generation of background music or this kind of film music can ever be simulated by a machine like artificial intelligence? He was laughing by telling that intelligence has always been artificial. So the creator of music or the proponent of music can never be replaced by machine because that is a fingerprint. So that intelligence today, when it comes to, say, for example, music is one, and the other part of it is that's going to be healthcare. Now, most of the precision-driven robotics surgery are now becoming the norm of the day.
That's right.
So we lived in an era when somebody has to do a bypass surgery, it was like a binary case. Yeah. Is there a chance of survival? Oh, 50-50. But today, if you look at it, bypass surgery has now become more or like a tonsils operation. And, the quality of life has gone for a quantum jump along with the longevity, and technology has started becoming a part of our life.
Correct.
That eureka moment of UPI, like somebody was telling the other day, the total number of transactions, any transactions in this country is about 6 billion in a country like ours. Out of which ATM transactions alone is contributing about 3 billion, and the machine has taken over, that is the mobile payments have taken over 1 billion transactions. I will not be surprised when the number of transactions, the more and more it is going to be like mobile driven, it is going to become even increasingly better, directly contributing to our GDP growth.
Right. That's
like, for example, the technology that we are talking generally. You are talking to me from Hyderabad, I am talking to you from Chennai. The technology has actually shrunk. Has shrunk everything, and we are absolutely on that space. And tomorrow, as Zuckerbergs and the Elon Musk and our own native brains are telling that teleportation is indeed possible. And today we are now looking at, that's what I keep telling, we are looking at an historical moment after the Industrial Revolution, and a lot of things are happening. The next 50 years is now going to be the defining moment for the humankind itself.
But do you think this defining moment or changing moment will involve people in India at grassroots level? You see, there's a slight difference between where you are and where a common Indian is.
Great question, gentlemen. Great question. Today, the common man on the road is the driver of the technology. When you and I started using Google Pay, did not become Google Pay. The Sabji wala and the Nariyal wala on the road using Google Pay became the success story.
Right.
So it is always the bottom 80% in whatever we do, which actually matters, and it is all driven by numbers. And the challenge for the technology, the custodian of technology, is simply this: how to reach to the unreached people. See, in India, we have 1 billion people who are already on the technology highway in some form or the other, at least Google Pay, some form or the other. Now the challenge is how this 1 billion people's technology is going to convert the remaining 400 million people so that we are all on sync, like everyone is walking on the same soil of Mother India. Everyone will be walking on the same information highway, and it is already happening. Great initiatives by this very, very visionary government. Actually, I am feeling so elated that we are living in this era where the government has ensured the digital inclusivity by putting in UPI, Aadhaar, direct benefit transfer, all these things, how people have started upskilling themselves.
So one point that you said, one bridge is the use of the technology by common people. That joins
Yes,
that joins the creator of the technology with the user of the technology.
exactly.
But how do you say, when you say increasing GDP, one is when I on the roadside use it and contribute, it adds to the GDP. But how do you ensure that this technology helps me to generate my own income?
Brilliant question. Exactly. Now, for example, I will give you a point in case. Today, government has now has been doing this poverty alleviation program for almost like from the day we got independence till today. But today, this poverty alleviation program has now been defined and piped only through technology space. For example, the direct benefit transfer in those days were given in cash. Now it is not given in cash. It is being deposited into the account, the bank account. The financial inclusion for the last 10 years has been like the world is now looking to India. As Nandan Nilekani keeps telling, the use case capital of the world is India. We have created some, I will put you some numbers in place because numbers speak better than words. More than 60% of the global payment, mobile payments and virtual payments happen out of this country called India. More than 60%.
Very true, very true. That's a fabulous number.
And the world is looking to India for looking of technology. Like for example, somebody in the Latin country, they had a fintech conclave, and they were every single sentence they were using the word "look at India." Look at the way digital payments have become part of their life. It has started from the man who was selling fish on the street, sending money to our government, sending money as a payment to say buying the equipments. Everything is now digitized.
Fabulous.
And
Yeah. Please go ahead.
and today, the penetration of mobile payments in rural is much far higher than in the urban space itself.
I agree. I fully agree to this part of it. Where I am getting juggled into is how do I skill my youth today? The
Excellent.
who come to me being you are an expert in the AI and the machine and the physics of the entire mechanical engineering. You're excellent in this. I've been in the war. I've been in the militancy all my life, fighting militants, fighting insurgents, and fighting the enemy. So all my life, all that I've been looking at is, will this man deliver? Will this soldier with me deliver?
Exactly. Brilliant question.
And when I take him to war, I have to release him at a point of time and say, hereafter you look after this area, and should something happen, manage it yourself. You will be responsible for shooting yourself or getting yourself killed or kill the enemy.
Brilliantly put, Chandran.
He has the full flexibility, but to achieve that flexibility, I train him, I motivate him, and then I say, now you're skilled, go, and we all go together and we all perform together. So when I put a similar model in the corporate boardroom or in the civil society, I find that there is a lot of gap that exists, and our youth requires upskilling. So that's where I seek your indulgence in guiding the youth and the nation. How can we really upskill these youth?
Excellent point, and thanks a lot for answering this very important and very pertinent question. And actually, this is a very defining question from the employability and skilling point of view for the entire nation. In fact, for the humankind as a whole. For example, today we are looking at corporations like huge enterprises who used to be like an employment exchange. They were employment generators. Today, the same corporations, they are now urging the technology companies to give very less dependency on skill. So all the skills that is humanly required, put it into an algorithm, let the machine. So what has happened is there is a slight shift in the direction in terms of employability of the present generation. Today, unless people understand how to use technology, their job has become irrelevant. Like for example, I just there's a simple case that we can always relate. There is a sabji wala on the road who sells only through cash, and there is a sabji wala next to him. He sells it through mobile and cash. We all know who is the winner in that day, on that given day. Today, nobody carries any cash with them. For
True.
every 2 rupee, and more than that, what is happening is the behavioral change of upskilling has come to the grassroots level because it is a survival question for them. So the present generation have to now build the technologies for the users, and there is a huge world waiting and looking forward to India. Whatever works in India can work anywhere. So,
Excellent.
so today, in a world of 7 billion, we have about 1.5 billion. So almost like every fourth human living in this world is an Indian. Fourth or fifth human is living in India. So whatever that we can do in-house, test tube it, trial it, mature it, and then scale it, because the world is looking to India. We have already become the Vishwa Guru. Nobody understands that. So whatever that we are very successfully see, Uber came to India and went nowhere. Look at the way Uber and Ola just killed them in the industry. And the time has come where Zohos of this world and the product like ours, which are now going to make Microsoft, Google, and Elon Musk look to us for leadership. We are no longer seeking leadership. We are the leaders. The more and more we use it, our muscle memory memorizes the expertise, and that is where, as you rightly put in a military context, today 90% of a soldier's skill is skilled on the studio level, not on the station level. That is on the military station level. Now, for the way he or she has to react to a given condition, simulation sciences and scenarios have overtaken in a big way. And the recent conflict, where the way we just pulverized our enemy, just proved a point. Hey, we are no longer just in India, we are now Bharat. We have arrived in this. And the world forces, like the way Russia treated Ukraine, and he made a mockery of NATO. We have just made a mockery of the entire people, including the US, by telling, look, we know who you are. We call the shots. We don't need you. We don't need you, because historically and ethically and morally, we have always been an inward-looking people. अहम ब्रह्मास्मि, मैं जो कुछ भी हूँ मेरे अंदर है, मैं अंतरात्मा से, मेरा आत्मा बात कर रही है, मुंह नहीं बात कर रही है. So more and more we keep polishing the intellectual space of my antaratma. It is the mind over the matter that they keep telling, and we are the world leaders in that. Yesterday I was talking to one federal government employee in the US. She's a pathologist, and she was the chief medical officer of one of the states in the US, very near to the capital of the US. She was telling, she is a pathologist. She quit her job as a chief medical officer because it was not giving her the gratification as a doctor, because she is a pathologist. And she took a career break of 1 year, came to India. She found and discovered herself how our holistic medicine, including Ayurveda, Siddha, and yoga, gives a better enhancement into the basic quality of life, starting from breathing. And she is a few times a millionaire. She's got a son who is actually an investment banker. The more and more she lives in the universe, the more and more she realizes that we are the peak of the world civilization, and we are the thought leaders. So Americans have unfortunately, the Western has unfortunately given, and we are ever adapting. We are like water. We will never be out of the system. We will always find the shape of the container in some form or another.
That brings me to the next question. You very wonderfully said understanding mindset and understanding inner self is more important. Aham Brahmasmi. What is your message to the corporate leaders who are under high pressure of performance? their performance matrices are to be seen, and they are
Fantastic.
into
Fantastic.
this. So how do you tell them ki partner, Aham Brahmasmi is there in you also. You can perform and still be satisfied and a great leader.
Absolutely. Today, the one leader the world looks to is our Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Modi. He has got 1.4 billion mouths to feed 3 times a day, 365 days a year, which he has the biggest problem world can ever envisage. We have a limitation resource, we have a limitation in having very hostile rest of the world waiting and wanting to fail and make a mockery of us. The only mantra that he has always taken is adapt technology. Technology is the alleviation tool for all the ills. Everyone was thinking like, oh, demonetization happened. How can we work as an economy? Everyone, the whole world started questioning. Came COVID, and our visionary leaders, technology, blind jump, showed and proved to the world that the technology is the only solution for as much complex a problem that we are looking at. For example, I am a 21-year-old, just a fresh graduate. I'm looking to build a career for myself. The world is not looking for the tally operators, the Excel and PowerPoint guys, because today all these things are now replaced by ChatGPT. You ask ChatGPT to write me a question about somebody was recently putting, even in the even in the interview, they have actually put a parallel, opened a tab to ask all the questions that were asked by the HR and the functional managers. He started typing in ChatGPT, it started giving answers, and we started parroting. Now this has arrived. This is no fiction. This is reality. We have to face it. Now, the day this gentleman comes and joins the job, the reality sets into him. Today, the reality is ChatGPT itself is running his show for himself. Now, what has happened is, in fact, that is one of the things that we are building and diving. You are actually making ChatGPT richer with your knowledge. As an organization, as an individual, build your own ChatGPT, don't give it to the public. And that's the only way you can differentiate and stay competent and relevant going forward. There is no point in making Googles and the OpenAIs richer. An organization or an individual needs to have a secret sauce. In India, we have 350 million youth waiting for an employment. Let us face this.
Yeah.
Unless we address the intelligent aspect of the intelligence, it's not just the broad intelligence. There is cognitive, there is transactional, there is heuristic and lot of things. But the intelligent part of the intelligence is ask the right questions. Start from you. Again, Aham Brahmasmi. Start yourself. Again, start asking questions to yourself. Hey, what am I good at? What am I good at? And why should somebody talk to me? And if somebody is going to talk to me, what am I going to give better than the OpenAI? That is the challenge, and that is where we need skilling. We don't need skilling how to use ChatGPT. In fact, my 11-year-old son drives the ChatGPT better than me, probably. It is why I should hire you. Why can't I put an artificial intelligence bot or a robot to do your job? That reality has started coming in. Today we are in a position where the STDs and PCOs and Xerox shops disappear. Now jobs are disappearing, it's just vaporizing. Unless we skill and stay relevant in the current context of he or she is each and every individual's area of expertise, be it a lawyer, be it an accountant, every job matters. Every human life matters. And if you don't stay relevant, it's going to be very stiff challenge. And this is where the training and the education is now becoming as touched the next frontier of challenge.
Excellent. Satish, you have been an excellent, outstanding IITian, a great mechanical engineer, and you ventured into vibrations and the quantum mechanics, and then getting on to the AI and doing all the finer parts of the mechanization, or I should say higher levels of intelligence to do finer tasks. What is your final message to Indians to enjoy their life, excel like you in your field, and they excel in their field, and yet enjoy your life. Maybe.
I have only one line word: zero resistance to learning.
Okay, that's great.
Zero resistance to learning. Whatever I do yesterday, I need to do it better today. What I'm doing today needs to be better tomorrow, none other than by myself. I don't need standards. I set my standards for myself. I need to create a new version of myself every single day. And that is only one way: learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Wonderful. That, I think that's a great thing. Yeah.
General, I have a couple of questions. The top question that comes to my mind: you have been there, done it, served the nation, saved human lives, and the kind of learning that you would have gone, you are actually a moving treasure box of knowledge, of just not just not about the equipments that you handle, ammunitions you handle, but more than that, the humans that you handle, keep them motivated in the worst of adversity. That would be great if you could share some thoughts based on some your real-time life experience in as much a way. That would be great for the younger generation, because we don't learn when you are in happy situations. We always learn when you are facing adversities and crises.
Good. I think our interaction is going very right. From me asking questions to the reverse question, that's a great way forward. And what you said is motivating men. It is like you learning machine. Once you learn the machine, you become master of it. Similarly, when we are operating with soldiers, or our corporate leaders are operating with their employees, whether in the office or outside in the market, the basic factor is, are you involved with your soldiers? Are you involved with your subordinates and superiors? If you are involved, the way Western world has taught us that the corporate is only material, nothing more. Whereas in Indian Army, Navy, Air Force, it is not so. We are involved. When I joined as an officer, as second lieutenant, when I joined in 1985, my first task was to understand my men. The platoon that I commanded had 36 men, soldiers, and I had to remember each soldier, his father's name, his mother's name, where does it belong to, what are their economic standards, what all they do have, and the entire background. So I used to maintain a diary of mine. So Rifleman Uda Singh, Rifleman Vijay Singh, and the entire detail. And in our holidays or chutti, I would visit those areas. Go and visit his father, his mother, meet those people, and they would understand me as, oh, ये हमारे लड़के का साहब है, officer है. So he's the guy responsible for getting him safe back home, or he's the guy with whom my son will go for a war.
Fantastic.
So this rapport that builds up is lifelong.
Awesome.
Soldiers who fought with me in 1985, 89, 90s, they are best friends of mine, even today, even after retirement.
So it is leadership by participation.
Absolutely. You coin a new term, but unless the leader is involved personally with the thought process and the background of the subordinate, he cannot lead. When I tell him, his soldier, tomorrow morning we shall do task A, B, C, D, I must know whether he is mentally ready or not. What is the information back home? What is going on inside him? Will he be fully committed, or he'll have a tension from home, or he has some other logistic issues? So if I understand the background of that man, psychoanalytical aspects of that man, then I know that there's nothing wrong.
Brilliantly said. Brilliant. No machines can replace this connect of a human. That is, know the terrain is not just knowing the terrain that you operate, but the people along with whom you operate. That's a brilliantly coined term, and I salute you for this awesome insight that you gave to me.
In the corporate, there's a major problem.
Exactly. In fact, I will add you to the difference between in the armed forces world to the rest of the civilian world. Here, People tend to outsource what they don't know.
So that's exactly where I come into play in the corporate. When I tell that, say I was talking to one of the very senior officers in a corporate when I was designing their program. So he asked me, sir, we have very strong, very high rate of attrition. Can you help us? I said, yes. So how do you help us? I said, you just talk to your employee. Understand his background. Understand his personal aspirations. Align it with your organizational aspirations and see where are the gaps and the differences. Just resolve those gaps and differences and you'll find that man forever in your organization.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. In fact, I completely agree with you, General, because the most of the successful persons in the world, in any sphere, be it a doctor, be it a politician, be it a military leader like you, be it a politician, be it anyone, like even a businessman like you, anyone who calls me by my name, I get a connect.
Yes.
And if I happen to talk that language, and at least a greeting in that language, like I get a better connect.
Absolutely.
Similarly, in IT industry, unless you talk that language, that interface talks to you, it doesn't give you result.
Correct. Correct.
Brilliant, brilliant. So my next question, the challenge, as probably a corollary to the earlier question, the challenge is as one moves up in the ladder in the organization. As you rightly put, they tend to lose the grassroots level connect. Now, in your own career also, you would have seen going from a platoon size of 36 guys to managing a team of, say, a few thousand people. How was it possible for you to manage this scale seamlessly throughout your career?
Wonderful. Once again, as you go higher in the rank, your connect with the soldiers, your connect with the subordinates, it tends to decrease. But remember, the principles of leadership don't change. If you have served with those soldiers, if you have served in a company with your subordinates, with your employees, and you've been heart and soul with them and understood them, then whether it is 1 man or 1,000 men, principle is same. My trust into them is the same. It is for him to prove his trust. It is for him to prove that he has learned the art of warfare or art of business in the corporate sector very well. And that's my job. That's my job to train him for war or training for the corporate, whether it is sales, marketing, or operations, or whichever department or function that he is doing. It is my job to ensure that he is outstanding in that small job. If he's just a rifleman who is meant to fire, I must train him that he fires 100% on the target. So when he goes into the battle, he'll fire, if not 100%, 90%.
Fantastic, because this is the focus, even in the corporate world. Once you set the target, what it takes to achieve the target on a daily basis, you do the course correction. Awesome, because this is one learning I see which is lacking in the non-uniformed services world that we live in. Because what happens is people get lost in transactions.
Yeah.
There is so much of digression. Like we are all having kids in our home, they see IPL, they get zapped into the television. And in that time, if you are having a call, yesterday as I was telling you, I had a call with some other people. I have to perforce move out of that particular room of my home, get into it and insulate myself because my target is not enjoying that. You should enjoy better while delivering the piece on a business transaction than what you have been otherwise. So my next question is, keeping the forces or keeping my employee in a civilian context, it isn't an easy job keeping them motivated every single second that they are on the job. Like in enterprises, people tend to feel in corporate world that we are being paid only 5 days a week. 6th and 7th day, we don't even think about an organization. But in the armed forces, not for a second that you can afford to think like that, because every day Until you get retired, you are trained to always be mentally on that zone of your engagement.
Very
And
true.
that calls for a completely different level of mind's orientation of your getting your job done. What we in the Western world they call this GTD factor. We call it as the only thing that drives the human is the target. See the target, shoot it. And I completely agree with you. It's about the training. Success is more to do with the muscle memory that we build. Almost like how a cricket player facing the fastest bowler, he is being trained to face a particular way on which the bowler, on a single second, either he hits or he gets out. So I completely agree with you. But training these people, what are the tenets? We would like to talk about this in detail, probably in the next few sessions that we have. And I completely thank you so much. Generally, it's been like a Monday morning freshener for me. I have a glorious week ahead, and you have motivated me enough to stay focused in achieving my own corporate goals that I am working on.
Wonderful, wonderful talking with you, Satish ji. And I'm sure whatever we are spoken to each other and drawn lessons for us, whether it is AI or the engineering or the leadership, ultimately it all hinges on your mindset. That's one. And what you said, Aham Brahmasmi, if I keep myself fully aware and on the learning mode, things become easier. And then second is you have to be, if you want to become a Dhanurdhar, you have to practice it, practice, practice and practice. And that builds everything else. And the third and the last point that we drew as conclusion is that if you understand your organization, understand your subordinates, and you empathize with them, salary doesn't give empathy.
Absolutely.
Love gives empathy. So love is the
Absolutely.
one that will bind him, not the salary. So I
So
think
well said. So well said.
I think the empathy is one that will bind our corporates together for better growth of the individual, the corporate or the company, and India as one organization, as Ma Bharati. Thank you so much for talking. We had a wonderful time. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.